10 Common Beginner Mistakes in Dead Cells 2021 edition. Let's go! Number 1. Don't spread out your stats. Whenever you pick up a scroll upgrade, always stick to one color. I know it's very tempting to get more health from picking one of the other two options, but while HP bonuses decrease with each additional upgrade, the damage boost does not. And since damage scales exponentially in this game, every single scroll upgrade will matter in the late game, so always try to push one stat as high as possible. That brings us to number 2. Always try to have a kit with the same color, namely the color that you invested the most into. For example, if you chose purple as your invested color, then try to have all of your items lined with purple. This is because your items scale off whichever color it corresponds with, and maximizing scroll upgrades in a single color, and then having your kit full of items aligning with that same color is the best way to maximize your damage output. I should mention that if an item has 2 different colors, then it will scale off whichever one is higher. If you have say the stiletto and your brutality and tactics are both at 6, then the weapon scales off of 6. But if you have 2 in brutality and 10 in tactics, then stiletto scales with 10. The other color is completely ignored. One thing beginners try to do is comparing the DPS number on each weapon to determine which ones are better. Now, this number right here can be very misleading. The real potential of a weapon does not depend on its pure DPS, but rather on synergies with other items or affixes. For example, the toothpick weapon has an extremely high DPS number, but because of its slow attack speed, yeah, it can technically do crazy damage, except you find out that it has an extremely long wind-up time, making it one of the harder weapons to pilot. And please, for the love of the beheaded, please stop doing this. I see a lot of new players complain about the lack of variety of weapons in the game, except for the fact they don't even have certain ones unlocked, when they're completely capable of doing so. And yeah, I get it, you probably looked at a couple of tier lists here and there, and you only want to unlock the good items. However, because this game gets continued support from the developers, and their continued rebalancing of items, I would say 99% of the items in the game are viable even at 5 BC. Some items may not function well on its own, but when paired up with others, its potential can go through the roof. If you don't like some of the items, just use custom mode. It's stated again and again by the devs that using custom mode does not count as cheating, so unlock everything whenever you can. Yes, I'm talking to you right now, go unlock the Curse Sword. Number 5. Don't spend gold on shops in the first 2 biomes. This is because you get higher tier items in the shop later on into your run, and contrary to what you might expect, the cost of these weapons stay exactly the same. A 4th tier weapon from the first biome costs exactly the same as a 12th tier item in the cavern. So there's really no reason to pay for items when you can just get them for free from chests. If you want my opinion, try to invest into a loadout in the biome right before the first boss. Number 6. Don't heal right away, it's not always safe. So how healing works in this game is that whenever you take damage, there will be an orange bar that ticks down along with your health. However, if you hit something while the orange bar is still ticking down, you can actually recover some of your lost health. This is known as the rally system, which new players might not be accustomed to. It's there to reward ambitious play, which I can always respect. And on top of that, if you played any From Software games, such as Dark Souls or Sekiro, you'll know that whenever you use the flask, there is a brief moment where you are vulnerable. This is exactly the same in Dead Cells. Whenever you lose a lot of health, try to see if your surroundings are clear before you drink up your potion, since it's not always safe. Number 8. Don't restart a run as soon as you take damage in the first biome. Just because you did poorly in one level does not mean you'll do poorly in another. I've had runs where I had 20% health going into the toxic sewers, and then I managed to no-hit the entire biome. So don't try to be too hard on yourself, you don't have to perfect every single biome in the game. Number 9, you can actually reset your mutations. Now this I did not know for a very long time until I reached around 2 BC. This is a feature that's tucked away in the corner of the mutation selection screen. Now normally mutations that are useful for biomes may not work well in bosses, so you can always swap them before a boss fight to make the most out of your mutations. For example, combo works great normally, but in a boss fight, since there are no enemies for you to kill to get the damage boost from, it doesn't work too well. I do have a mutation guide if anyone is interested. And finally, take it slow. This is not a game you can beat in just one day. Dead Cells is probably one of the hardest roguelikes I've ever played. I've only beat the entire game after around 2 years of playing. Now sure, victories are gonna be more rare, but that just makes the satisfaction of beating it that much more worth it. This has been 10 common beginner mistakes in Dead Cells. My name is Psyche, and thanks for watching.